Welcome back to In the Hallway. Once again, I'm Frank.
I'm Renee.
And I'm LaTanya, and we are the Hall siblings.
Yes.
We are.
Now, have you ever had your most embarrassing moment become your second embarrassing moment because you had another one that was worse?
That actually happened
That happened?
multiple times. We had this fantabulous trip to Chicago planned.
Before we can leave the house, disaster strikes.
I needed a trim before we left.
So we were running late. Frank and I are downstairs waiting on Renee to come out.
Because usually I'm the holdup, so of course they
Always.
expect me to be
Yeah.
the slow one. I was just excited that I wasn't the final holdup. I was thrilled.
And so Tanya complained about the sweater being,
Not me.
Too tight.
too tight.
I told her in the time it took for her to complain, she could have changed.
Wasn't that nice?
Oh yeah.
So finally she did.
She finally
did.
changed.
Right.
And then her lips were tight for the drive all the way to the airport.
We got there with time to spare. So much time to spare, we thought, well, we're going to get a close parking space because after all this, who wants to walk all the way across the parking lot?
Yes. And we ended up walking clear across the parking lot
Right.
to the airport.
We're across town. is
At
what
the
it
last
was.
minute.
At the last minute.
Right.
Last minute. So now we're jogging slowly with our little heels on to get to the airport.
But I have on these shoes that I only wear to go out, not to do jogs or runs in. So I have these clogs on, very cute for looking at and sitting down and eating and,
Right.
and things like that, but not for walking. And of course I was lagging behind.
That's
Two
why
pieces
that's
of
why you
luggage.
were walking so slow.
Yes, my
Oh.
shoes, I couldn't go any
True.
faster.
So again, we get there, we have our boarding passes, we're in the A group, so that was great.
Right.
We got to board first.
Right.
So I said I have to have an in seat so I can get some oxygen.
Yeah.
At that point, Renee and Frank were chit-chatting a little bit. I don't know if they noticed, but I was silent.
I noticed.
I was
I didn't.
silent because...
But I was too excited to inquire because we're going to
In
Chicago.
other words, she could care less.
So we'll talk about it when we get to Chicago.
Yeah.
What happened was I didn't eat breakfast. Normally I eat breakfast every morning, my oatmeal and eggs,
Right.
whatever. But because the flight's only 50 minutes from Detroit, I said, well, I'm just going to have a little cup of pears and, I'll eat breakfast when we get there.
Right.
Because when I say I had gas in my stomach built up that would not release so bad, I was so cramped. I was sitting like this because the pressure from sitting down was hurting my stomach. And lo and behold, on the announcement was made that the plane was delayed another 10 minutes. I'm not lying. It's like somebody lit my feet on fire. I got so hot. By that time, I was doubled over in my lap. My head was in my lap.
It was
It
horrible.
was dramatic.
It was dramatic.
Dramatic.
I admit it. It was
Miss
dramatic.
Drama.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
So to make a long story short, the stewardess, flight attendant comes over and asked if I want some water. They got me some cold water. And Frank asked, well, can she just go to the restroom? I was like, I just got to get to the restroom before we take off. So they were like, okay, hurry up. If I can
Right.
get in the bathroom, get back in my seat so we can take off. The last thing I heard the pilot say was, unfortunately, we've been delayed by a sick passenger who refuses to take her seat. I was so embarrassed, I did not know what to do.
And then, the other embarrassing part was, then she got escorted off the plane.
Yeah, they told
Right.
me to get out.
The flight attendant came to us and informed us while Tanya was still in the restroom that the pilot said you're going to have to get off the airplane.
And
Which I understand. Everyone has to be seated and belted in before they
Yeah.
can take off. So
Whatever.
you can't hold up the plane.
And I'm saying to myself, I'm not going anywhere.
All he could think about were the bags.
The luggage,
The luggage, yeah.
It's strange. This is usually I never check in luggage for this very reason, because if anything happens,
Yeah.
then you don't have your items.
Right.
And I was like, all of our
Belongings.
belongings were checked in, and
They
so
were.
I told Renee and Tanya. Well, I told Renee
Yes.
that
He was talking to me.
right, I said I'm going to continue on, and when I should have got off that plane because there were 300 angry passengers on that plane. You can hear them on their cell phone saying, "Don't hurry up and come to the airport because this crazy lady refused to
man.
open up the restroom
Talk
door.
about me like a
and
dog."
now we got to go all the way back to the other side of the airport to kick her off the plane."
Oh man.
Where's the compassion?
Oh,
Where's the understanding?
Thank
Who
you.
hasn't been sick before?
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
It was hilarious.
interesting.
Yeah, it was.
So we get off the plane. Tanya and I get off the plane because I have to babysit, so I'm going to get off.
Oh, this is getting worse.
So I get off the plane.
Now I know how she really feels.
And
Frank follows the luggage. We get off the plane. So she said she just needs to get to the restroom. I asked her, do you need me to go with you? She said no. So I'm sitting down. The next thing I know, I can't see. I know she's going to the restroom, but I can't see which one. I hear the station manager saying, wrong restroom. She has just walked into the men's restroom.
These men turned around, they were looking at me like, I'm like, I couldn't figure out why they looking at me like.
Lo and behold, we were able to get switched on to the next flight thanks to the generosity and kindness and quick thinking of the station manager. We thank you so much.
Thank you, Don.
Yes, we appreciate that. And the flight, the
Reservation
yes,
agent.
the agent at the ticket
Tom.
agent at the gate who was there who helped assist us. We were able to get on the next flight. We
We
arrived
were.
20 minutes after Frank arrived.
We
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the time I got the luggage, then, you know, they were calling saying that their plane has landed.
Right.
But you know I had to call mom and dad and
Right.
let them know that,
I'd already called
Mom and
Mom.
Dad.
yeah,
I already called
I was
Mom.
going to tell them you got kicked off the plane.
Are you kidding? I called Mother and I said, Mother, Renee's getting on my nerves. She was
I
backing
am
up,
well and fit, and I'm on her nerves.
The next thing that happened, which Frank forgot, but I'm going to remind him,
Please
What?
do.
was when we got to the rent-a-car place.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mr. Money Manager, tight money, saving money man over
Right.
here to get his car, and they said, your card has been declined.
And I said I almost had a conniption.
Oh, no, you had a conniption.
Oh yeah, I had one. Because like I know none of my cards should ever say decline. That's because I
Exactly.
use my debit card.
Oh, that's because. Well, y'all have that story.
And the-
Because.
right, and the-
And that's because.
Exactly. And then what had happened was.
Right. And then
It's like this.
I was like, please let it go, please let it go, please let it go. But no, what actually happened was my bank, they claim that you can get hotels, airfare, but you can't rent a car because of problems that they've had.
They've had
Through
all
the
fraud.
debit.
Yeah.
Through the debit.
Yes, through using
So it
the
really
debit.
is for your protection.
Right.
But you couldn't
It
tell
just-
us that on that
Right,
day.
you couldn't
Right.
tell
It
me
wasn't
that
good
day.
timing.
It was
Yeah.
bad